And we got a question from a mom that has a situation. And everybody in the DMV, I need you to listen to this. This is one of those things we don't expect to get, but here we go. Frank and Nina, I need some advice. My son's father and I have been divorced since he was 2 years old. We have co-parented together very well, with my son going to his dad's for a week and then to my house for a week. It's how it's been. Well, my son graduates from high school this year, and my current husband was told he needs to pick one home to reside at once he graduates. He said him going back and forth is not a way to live. My son feels like he's being pressured to pick between his dad and I, and knows one of us is going to get hurt, and he doesn't want to hurt either one of us. He wants things the way they are. My husband has told me he will divorce me before he allows my son to keep his current schedule. Woo! What should I do?
Leave the door open, boo, when you leave.
Really?
Yes, bye. Because that is so selfish. Like, you've been in this boy, let's assume that he's been in this boy's life since he was a very young child. And now you're going to put the expectation on him that he has to switch up and choose between his biological moms and biological dads? You're the stepdad, bro. That's not for you to decide.
Really?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think there's a lot to this question, but I do feel that. You don't feel that, like, you know, that schedule is hard to keep, and, you know, the father says this is not a way to live.
Okay.
You know,
it's, again, for...
Now, a mother should never have to choose between a husband and a father.
It's one thing for the biological dad to say it, the biological mom, but for the stepdad to say it, you're out of order, bro. And if the kid now feels pressured and he doesn't want to hurt either mom or dad, then there's more to this story here. We got to really get into it. The stepdad sounds real jealous of the son, to be honest, because why, as a grown man, would you put that kind of pressure on a 17, 18-year-old who just graduated high school and is just now, like, starting to see the world? He's going to be pushed out of the nest as it is if he's going to college. And even if he's not, like, this is a pivotal point in someone's life when they graduate high school. And why would you do that? Either you want a divorce and this is your excuse, which is lame anyways, or you're jealous of the boy and you want to get him out of your house because of that, you know, feeling.
So what do you feel about people that say, you know, it's husband and wife first and you know, like...
Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, in a perfect world, that would be the case. But this is a blended family. He came in when the child was 2. So you came in marrying this woman, knew that she had a 2-year-old son that was going to forever be a part...
Or whatever age they got together, right?
That was going to forever be a part of her world. So as a step-parent, you have to understand what it is. You're not going to immediately be first, but this is her. She has a responsibility to this child.
Yeah.
It's a mindset that he already had. When this young man turned 18 or graduated high school, he was going to pull these shenanigans. You know, it's underlying issues. So a lot of times, I'm a single father, so I'm just speaking from experience. A lot of people have, when you turn 18 or graduate, you got to get out. He really want to say that, but he's trying to use the other son as a scapegoat. Yeah, she need to get rid of him. Nowhere in the world all of a sudden you got an opinion about him picking a household.
There you
want
go.
Him out your household.
There's something to be said about that. I think one of the things that we may be missing here, and I agree with you, everything you said, Nina, but at this particular point, we're not dealing with a child no more. He's 18 years old. What role does that play? You know what I mean? He's not a child no more. He's 18 years old. You can't be going back and forth at 18 years old.
Frank,
you're 18 years old. But I'm saying, if...
He just turned 18, bro. He's in high school.
I
He's
understand
been in the
that.
nest
No.
for 18 years.
Listen to what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. At some point, a game plan needs to be played out. Like, what you going to do for your life? Going forward, what are we going to do? You know what I mean?
Those conversations could be had. He's saying, as you pick out your game plan, you can't go back and forth from one house to another.
Yeah.
Bro, that's narcissistic as hell.
But there's got to be something to be said about a child being 18. Like, an 18-year-old? Should an 18-year-old that's not in high school be going back and forth?
And that is what's wrong with
I don't know.
our culture.
I'm asking a question.
Is that we're so quick to put our children out.
Nobody's saying put the child out, Nina.
It is putting him out if you're telling him he cannot come back to where he's known for 18 years.
Will you give me 1 second to say what I need to say?
Please.
Okay. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying put the child out, but there is something to be said about a child that's going into manhood, going back and forth, living between two places every week. That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying there's a mentality about that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and as the kid would receive that as you're putting me out, which is not okay.
WHUR, hello.
I don't mean no disrespect when I say this, but I'm ashamed of your comment. Nina, okay, listen to this. It's not an age bracket on a child to be able to come back and forth to his mother or father's house. That is gonna be forever.
Thank you.
First of all, you have to understand this word. Me, I didn't have my mother and father when I was growing up. Okay,
right.
So when I got my kids, I held on to them tight. I had a daughter, and I've been going through this all my life. Me, the girl, she get jealous. I have to let her go, even though I love her. Gotta let her go. She got to go because the relationship with my kids are forever.
Right.
And see, you got to have a relationship with the kids because if you don't, they're going to be thrown off. I was thrown off for a long time. This has got to stop. And the thing about this is the women has to sit down with the people that they start dating and let them know the do's and don'ts before they get even deep into this thing.
That part. I agree with that.
It's real deep, man. It's deep. Yeah. We gotta start loving our kids, man. If this man been with that boy since he was 2, he got to love that baby like it's his own.
Okay.
And if he don't, he has a problem.
There
Exactly.
you go. Thank you, bro.
It's a problem.
You a real one. Thank you.
WHUR, hello.
Yes, I agree with you totally. I think that's what's wrong with a lot of our young black men today, that these moms won't allow them to grow up. And I just completely agree with you. He's 18 years old. He is too old to be going back and forth. It's time to grow up. Even if he did just graduate from high school, he needs to become a man.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to say. I wasn't saying that he can't go back and forth. I think people are, like, misconstruing what I'm trying to say. A child should be able to come and go from your house, forever. That's your child, right? They can come and go forever. But at some point, some sense of adulting needs to start to take place. You know what I mean? And
Most
just living back and forth between two parents' houses after you become a man is part of the problem with a lot of these men out here today. They haven't accepted when it's time to become an adult. And sometimes you have to be almost forced to become an adult and grow up.
Well, I raised 2 sons as a single parent with tough love, and they turned out very well. They started their families early, but they're still with the girl that they initially were with, and they love their kids. And I think it all contributed to me showing them tough love. I wanted them to be men. Even though I was a woman, I felt like I could, with Judge Mathis's help, I could train them to be men, and they turned out all right. We have to stop babying these guys.
I've never had the tough love approach. I've always nurtured and encouraged, and my son has turned out well as well. So I think you really have to know your kids and know what they need. Some kids may be ready to be pushed out the nest at 18. Others aren't. If you know your child, you have 18 years to know who your child is, and hopefully you're making a decision that's best for them and not just for you. But at 20 years old,
we agree with that.
What I was going to say, though, is at 20 years old, my son's in college, and he comes home. Sometimes he goes to his dad. Sometimes he goes to my house. I would never be like, you can only pick one.
I don't think that's what the guy is saying. What she's saying is she started the conversation by saying he has an alternating schedule.
Right.
Where it's set where he goes. What this guy is saying is he needs to pick what's going to be his primary place, but he can always come back and forth.
That's not what this is saying.
I believe that's what he's also saying,
I believe that's
too.
what the father's trying to say, too, is like there needs to be some now adulting. Like, this is going to be your primary place, but you come back and forth whenever you want. As a man, I can almost understand that, because I wouldn't want a child who is already being an adult being under a court-ordered, okay, you go this week, you go. Like, you're an adult now. Like, you get to make your own decisions now is part of what the process that needs to happen. Thank you for your call.
All right, thank you.
For her to say, my son feels like he's being pressured to pick between his dad and I, knowing that one of us is going to be hurt, it's not going back and forth like you're saying. That's why the son feels this way. He's like, I know one of y'all are going to be hurt, and I don't want to choose.
But I don't think that means he can't go back and forth when he wants to hang out and stuff.
Well, I mean, you're assuming, but she's
residence.
saying that my son feels like he's being pressured. If you're saying you can go back and forth, then a child wouldn't feel pressured. A child wouldn't feel like they have to choose if it was truly what you're saying. Oh, you can go back and forth, just pick a primary residence. That's already the situation at hand. Court order says when parents are divorced, there has to be a primary resident, and then there's a visitation schedule. They're now saying something new, different from what he's been doing for 16 years, which is why the son feels pressured and feels like he has to pick between one.
You know, every now and then, Nina Brown, we get these questions. And in my mind, I'm torn, and I just got to admit this, I'm torn between what happened to me and then as a parent, what I am seeing in my own kids. My father kind of forced me out. You know what I mean? And I think I became a well-off man, but I did have problems early on. You know what I mean? And by the grace of God, I didn't go the wrong way in my life, even though I was put out at 18, basically. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I left at 17, and I had so many issues as a result of it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And I think one of the things is the two boys who I think they're ready to make that move are also full-time in college and doing stuff. It's different. I would never want a mother to choose to make this decision.
And thank you for saying that. Even more for me is divorce, right? My son, who's 20, his father and I were divorced when he was 3. We decided what divorce was going to mean in our family. We never had any drama. We had an uncontested divorce. We never even looked at the settlement agreement. We never had child support. We never had visitation.
And you're lucky.
We made it work between us.
Yeah.
And as a result, my son never associated negativity with divorce. We never made it awkward for him. We still did dinners together. We still celebrated Mother's and Father's Day. We allowed my son to go back and forth between our house with no pressure, ever. And as a result, his father and I can sit side by side at the University of Georgia games and root our son on. And when my son gets off that field or when he looks for his parents in the stadiums, he always knows we're going to be sitting next to each other rooting for him. It's all about him. And I think as divorced parents, stop making it about you. You got divorced. Your kids should never suffer as a result of your failed relationship. And if y'all can't get it together, then damn it, go to counseling so you can make it work for your kids. But putting that type of pressure on a child is so unfair.
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I want to say this real quick. Here's a big problem that nobody has said in this conversation. The mother has not said. The mother says he's graduated from high school. She didn't say anything the kid's about to do now. Like, where's that conversation? You're graduating high school. Where's the conversation about, are you going to work? Are you going to college? Are you going to trade school? Are you going to military? What are you doing? She never said what the boy's plan is after high school. That's a problem. We cannot sit here and wait for a child to make that decision. We have to, help them, okay, you graduated high school. What's next? Are you going to get a job? She didn't even say.
It might be because of the dysfunction in that household. Poor child.
And that is the problem. That's the thing that has not been said in this conversation. You cannot let your child get to graduation with no plan of what they are doing in the future.
As a parent.
You have failed as a parent if your child is graduating and has no idea what the hell is coming up next.